Hello students, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to our Current Affairs for Beginners program. Let us see today's article. The first article is on green GDP. Here we should know what is this concept of green GDP. Before that, we should know what is GDP. What is GDP? GDP is gross domestic product. It is the final value of total goods and services that are produced within a country. It means territory within one particular period. Let's say 1 year. This total value at market prices. Present value of final goods and services that are produced within a territory within one particular year, we call it as GDP at market prices. Here we should remember this. Final value only is considered, not the intermediary goods. And territory within the country, it means if Indian nationals are producing some goods and services outside the country, those services and goods are not considered. Only those goods and services that are produced within the territory, they are only considered. And the time period in general is 1 year. Some countries like USA, they calculate GDP quarter-wise also. But in India, CSO, Central Statistical Organization, this particular organization under Ministry of Statistics, it calculates GDP for one single year, 1 year. That's why GDP is final value of goods and services that are produced within 1 year within India or within territory. Next, green GDP. Here, this concept is very important with respect to our sustainable development. All the world countries, we are moving towards this momentum called sustainable development. Under this, green GDP is nothing but total environmental or ecological value. Environmental or ecological value of a particular country or place within a particular year. This is calculated and that is considered green GDP. In this particular article, it is mentioned that India from today, that is June 5th, which marks World Environment Day. From today, we are starting this calculation of green GDP, under which we are going to calculate all the ecological goods and services with respect to each district. Very important to remember for prelims. With respect to each district, we are calculating. That is called green GDP. The next article is on governance and the governor. Here, we should know what are the powers of governor. Powers of governor. Then we should know what is this case, S.R. Bommai versus Union of India case. Let us see what are these two. Governor of a state is appointed by President of India. President of India with the recommendation of Council of Ministers. This governor is appointed. Now, governor has two types of powers. One is constitutionally mandated powers, two discretionary powers. This constitutionally mandated powers are exercised on the advice of Council of Ministers at state. Here, the discretionary powers are used with his or her discretion. For this discretion of powers of governor, under this case of S.R. Bommai case gave major verdict with respect to President's rule. For President's rule, we have different conditions. Failure of constitutional machinery, or governor has to send a report. Governor has to send a report saying that the administration is not going according to the constitutional values, etc. According to governor's report, President of India imposes President's rule under Article 356. In this particular S.R. Bommai case, the discretion of governor in sending this report is questioned, and in this case, Supreme Court has said that Discretionary powers can be used by the governor, but the discretion power or the intention behind that report can be questioned. Constitutionally, the discretionary power cannot be questioned under courts, but the intention can be considered for judicial review is the major decision given under SR Bommai case. So we should remember what are the discretionary powers of governor. What is this case, SR Bommai case, related to? The next article is on food security. Here we should know what is food security, what is Food Security Act. First, what is food security? Food security is nothing but AAA of food, that is availability of food, accessibility of food, affordability of food for all. This is for all. Then only we call one particular area or country food secured. Why do we need food security? Food is the basic commodity or basic need of all the people. So availability, accessibility and affordability of food for all within the time that we consider as food security. To provide food security, in India we have Food Security Act of 2013. We have different cases that led to enactment of this act. If we see here, in the year 2001, People's Union for Civil Liberties, PUCL, it filed a PIL, public interest litigation in Supreme Court. After this case, 2001 case, Supreme Court said right to food is fundamental right. It is part of fundamental right. It is part of right to life. Right to life under Article 21. After that, after series of judgments, this act came. Now we should know what are the provisions of this act. In the recent prelims examination 2018, they have asked the provisions of Food Security Act 2013 because there are many issues in the recent days that surrounded this particular act. For example, last year there was this Swaraj Abhiyan case, very important, where Supreme Court asked why government is not taking proper measures even during the consecutive drought years. During that time, it said NFSA, National Food Security Act, is not implemented by many states in India. That was the things. That's why this act was in news. Let us see what are the provisions of this particular act. If we observe in this particular thing, National Food Security Act, it covers 67% of people. It means we have total 21% of people who are under poverty line. That is, BPL is only 21%. But it is covering 67% of people. So, it covers both BPL and APL families. In the urban areas, it covers 50% of the population. In the rural areas, it covers 75% of the population. Under the subsidized rate, 3 rupees, 2 rupees, 1 rupee. 3 rupees for rice, 2 rupee wheat, 1 rupee coarse cereals. So, under the subsidized rate, the person or the family is provided the monthly entitlements. So, these are the things. Along with that, maternity allowance for the pregnant woman, lactating woman is provided. That is not below than 6,000. It means states can increase this limit, but the minimum entitlement is 6,000 rupees. And through Anganwadis under ICDS scheme, free ration is provided to the below age 6 children. Below age of 6 children. And for these women, pregnant and lactating women, the cooked meal or take-home ration. Take-home ration is provided under this particular National Food Security Act. Now it is Act. At that time it was Bill. These are the basic things that we should know. The next article is on BRICS grouping. Here we should know what is this BRICS group and who are all members, What are its major objectives? If we see here, BRICS consists of 5 countries, 5 country groups. B is Brazil, Russia, India, C China, S is South Africa. South Africa as a member is added in the year 2010. Prior to that, these 4 were a group. BRIC countries was a group. Now, this South Africa is also added. There are many concepts that we should know with respect to BRICS. One is, what are the areas of cooperation among the BRICS countries? One is to fight against terrorism, the UN reforms. Then comes the financial mechanisms, including the New Development Bank. New Development Bank is sponsored by the BRICS countries. These are proposed by the BRICS countries. So there are many other member countries under NDB. So these are the basic issues. We need to discuss this in detail, but not in this particular video. The next article is on Malabar Exercise. This we have discussed in the previous videos, but let me give you a brief on this. Malabar Exercises is a joint Navy exercise between India and USA. Now, India, USA, Japan, these 3 are permanent members of Malabar Exercise. Earlier, when it was started in the year 1992, India and USA, these 2 were the members. Now, Japan is added as a permanent member. There are other countries who are interested to join in this. One major country is Australia. Recently, a week back, we have discussed with respect to this. Australia wanted to join in the Malabar Exercises. With that context, we discussed this. So now Australia and Singapore, these 2 are countries who can participate, but they are non-permanent members to the Malabar Exercises. The next thing, this is the advertisement. Why such kind of advertisements are important? Here you get all the required details like objectives, what this scheme consists of, what is the financial assistance, everything will be given. And at this ministry also you will be getting to know through these advertisements. That's why you need to be very careful when you go through the newspaper, whenever there are articles where government advertises its schemes or programs, go through very carefully, because we have this visual memory wherein we can remember or associate these programs through images. Here, this coir industry technology upgradation scheme. This scheme is implemented by which ministry? Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. And what are the objectives of it mentioned? How the scheme runs, what is the financial assistance, how to apply, who are eligible. Everything is mentioned in this particular advertisement. So never miss such advertisements in the paper. The next article, very important for today, because today is World Environment Day. India is hosting UN World Environment Day. So here in this only, who organizes this World Environment Day? UN, United Nations organizes this particular Environment Day. India is hosting it. What is the theme of it? Beat plastic pollution. With this respect, we need to know how plastic pollution is dangerous and what is the amount of plastic pollution that we are experiencing, that we should read with respect to our mains. So please go through that. In this basics, we are not going to discuss that, but for mains it is very, very important. Plastic pollution and associated issues. These are the 2 questions for today. One is on Malabar Exercises. 2 is on National Food Security Act. Please try to answer them in the comment section. Thank you very much.